Council chambers. The agenda for a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, to be held Monday, July 6, 2020, at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers at 301 South 5th Street will now come to order. We will have we will have invocation by Councilwoman Lisa Parsons. Please rise for the invocation.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. Lord, we just thank you for this wonderful city that we have to live in, Lord. And Lord, just be with us tonight as we make decisions for the city, that we do what is best for everyone involved. We just ask these things in your name. Amen.
And please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call, Clerk Young.
Councilwoman Parson.
Here.
Councilman DeGaris.
Here.
Councilwoman Horton.
Here.
Councilman Cornman.
Here.
Councilwoman Taylor.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Here.
Mayor Smith.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Clerk Young. Item 5, disclosure of interest. Any member of the City Council may disclose any possible conflict of interest dealing with either any item on the printed agenda or with any matter discussed at a previous meeting.
Mayor Smith, on item C in workshop, current budget issues, I believe salaries for city employees may be discussed in that, and I'll have to abstain from that.
So noted. Thank you, Councilman DeGaris.
Mayor, I would be the same too if we talked about salaries.
Okay.
Mayor Smith, I will have to recuse myself also.
Okay. So noted. Thank you. Item 6, citizens' input. Each person in the audience may take this opportunity to address the City Council on any matter which is not on the printed agenda. I would please ask that you only have one representative per group, and please be mindful of the time because we do have a lot of people wanting to speak. First of all, we have Jim Christman.
My name is Jim Christman, 464 North Main Street. Hello, friends. I consider you friends after as many times as I've been up here. Last meeting, I asked for several questions to be answered, and I'm here to follow up on that since I didn't get any answers. Let me just go over some of them again. The 2020 budget shows a capital improvement sales tax revenue of $2.25 million and expenditures of $3.1 million. How is this difference made up from time to time? How do we repay the borrowing requirements for a police station or a city hall? I want to know how much we realistically can afford to pay for a police station. I want to know how much we realistically can pay for a city hall. Are we sure that the funds will be there to do that? How long will this debt repayment obligate the city? What do we do for capital improvements in the meantime? Tearing down the old parking garage, other items, police cars, fire trucks, that sort of thing that comes along from time to time. Also, with the new building, you take on more maintenance. And with more maintenance comes out of that other budget, the general fund, and that's already strained. So what do we do there? I assume that workshop item C, that I'll be able to ask follow-up questions at that point too, if it's not covered in the discussion. You are elected and appointed leaders. Now's the time to lead with as much transparency as we can have. Some additional questions have also arisen today as I looked over the budget again. On page 77 of the budget that you approved last December, there's only one column, it's the 2020 budget. On every other page, there's the 2018, 2019, and 2020 budget. Why? And I can only speculate that the data presented by showing the 2018 and 2019 numbers might have revealed something that was better left hidden. The capital budget shortfall in 2018 would have been almost $800,000. That shortfall in the capital budget in 2018. In 2019, it would have been about $200,000. And if we look at 2020, and these are the numbers that are there, the shortfall would be without the proceeds from selling bonds of $542,000, the shortfall would have been $523,000. If we go one more year, going into this year with a $900,000 surplus, we're losing $500,000 this year. We've only got one more year to go, and the city will be bankrupt. We've been Kaplaned again. Lied to, misled, and deceived. There's no money to do anything. Further analysis of these expenditures show that major increases in capital expenditures between 2018 and 2020 budgets for the police, fire, street, airport, and street construction happened. Money from paying off the Coliseum here. These capital increases will have to be eliminated for 20 years if we build a police station and a city hall. I don't know what the answer is, but I would like to have some idea of what you think we can afford, and that is subject to discussion at the budget tonight. As an afterthought, what are your thoughts on growing the city? Doesn't a bigger footprint mean more revenue? Shouldn't we consider spending some of what little bit of capital improvement money, annexation, and bringing people in? I think we, the citizens, deserve some honest answers, and the citizens deserve their voices to be heard. Thank you.
I have Addison Kirkman. Please state your name and address.
Hi, my name's Addison Kirkman. I live on 600 Honeysuckle Lane. So I'm here representing the Poplar Bluff swim team, high school and summer. I've been on the swim team for 7 years for the summer swim. I'm coming up on my 3rd year for high school. As you can see, several of my friends and I think my coaches are here as well. This team has brought me lots of my friends. It's also helped me stay in shape. It's my favorite way to work out. This is the only place that we have to practice, especially for high school swim. By the time our girls swim rolls around, it's November, so it's obviously too cold to practice at the outdoor pool. We are also the conference champions as of 2020, so we would like a place to practice so that we can defend our title. We also depend on, like a lot of the swimmers depend on scholarships, so that's very important to us. And also people other than just swimmers on our high school and summer swim team depend on the pool for physical therapy and different like aerobics classes. They always come after our practices. Our boys team also just came back 2 years ago, coming up on their 3rd year, and they haven't had a chance to build their team and their program. They also have multiple all-conference swimmers. I'm also an all-conference swimmer 4 times. We also have state placing swimmers. We would also be willing to brainstorm ideas of how to shorten hours so it's not taking up as much money. Thank you.
Okay, now, I have, I think, Kennedy Shell and Marley Spain, are you all on the swim team, or are you all the same group? Okay, okay, well, thank you, and we will take that under consideration, too.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Isn't it wonderful to have young people active? I have Mr. Spencer Jones.
Well, as you know, that I represent a nonprofit group called People United to Save Urban America. I work in urban America all across America, and I'm not a new guest here. We've been talking now for 2 to 3 years regarding basically 3 issues. One is naming of Dr. Martin Luther King Street that runs all the way through the city.
Excuse me, sir, just a second. She needs your name and address.
Name Spencer Jones, address 903 Garfield, North Garfield. Yeah.
Thank you.
Spencer, could you repeat that? People United?
People United to Save Urban America is a nonprofit organization that, deals with all kinds of problems, family problems, youth, the whole thing. As I said, that I'm here basically for 3 reasons. I'm no stranger as far as working together. One is that my prayer and hope that we are intentionally, very important that I've used that word consistently, and that word has become very relevant lately because I deal with race relations, and in order for us to accomplish anything, we have to be intentional. So my prayer is that we are intentionally working on that, whatever application that we need to fill out regarding the King Street. My prayer is that we intentionally endeavoring to hire a black policeman, black fireman. Thank the Lord that we have dodged a bullet in Poplar, Bluff, but you definitely do not want later on some accident to happen with the police with an Afro-American, then the news media is going to expose what we're about and what we are. So wisdom would say good decisions in life. Wisdom would say we need to make a good decision with that. We need to be intentional. So I believe you are. I believe in you. We are friends. We want to work together, but at the same time, we cannot put it on the back burner and not do anything. And we cannot say that it's not important. It's very important. All of us know it's something that should have been done 30 or 40 years ago. I'm not blaming you all. I'm the type of person that if that crime is my neighborhood, I don't blame the police. I look at the citizen. So I'm not blaming you all. I'm saying both of us need to work together and get it done.
Thank you. We have Mr. Kevin Ellis. Due to time constraints, we can only allow one speaker
Yes.
per group. Thank you.
Yes, we are aware of this.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Kevin Ellis. My home address is 2067 Tumbleweed Trail. Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. We are honored and elated to meet and speak with you as the NAACP Butler County Chapter. We bring you greetings from Derek Johnson, our National President, Rod Chappell, our State President, Rosa Johnson, our Interim President, and all the members of the Butler County Chapter. My name is Kevin Ellis. I am the Interim Vice President of our chapter. I was born the spring of 1966 between the assassination of President John F. Kennedy and the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As we know, both of these men wanted equality for all. Yet still today, as a nation, we struggle to achieve this momentous goal. I am a husband, a father, coach of the Cleats of Fire Youth Track and Field Club, and a member of the community. I am employed at the John J. Pershing VA Medical Center in Poplar Bluff. as a voluntary assistant. And I served as the union president as I have for the past 9 years. As the union president at my workplace, it has been our objective, similar to the vision of the NAACP, to fight for equality and justice for all, regardless of race, religion, gender, political affiliation, or sexual orientation. During our struggle for equality in our hometown, some of us were unlawfully bullied, harassed, threatened, retaliated against, and even offered termination for reporting abuses of power and for the color of our skin. For example, such words were spoken in the workplace that said, "Don't elect blacks to office." I can't wait to walk some blacks out the building. And some of us was even called the N-word by our coworkers right here in our community. This abuse was implemented and supported by the two most senior officials at the VA and supported by the human resources manager. Although they were found guilty of their actions were hurtful, stressful, unwarranted, and caused emotional and financial harm to some of us. We share this with you because we want you to know and understand the struggle for equality and justice is real, and these types of issues currently occur within our community. We are here to share with you our vision and objective for the city. Our vision is to ensure a society in which all individuals have equal rights without discrimination based on race. Our objective is to engage into dialogue and negotiations with the citizens, stakeholders, and leaders within the community to bring economic equality, social equality, and equal justice. We believe this can be accomplished through a series of committees and work groups communicating together towards one common goal: to achieve the best practices and best policies to advance equality for all citizens. For the next 8 minutes and 46 seconds, we want you to imagine yourself as one of us, a minority. We want you to view the community we live in through our eyes and feel the rejection and suppression that we've dealt with for many decades. Several weeks ago, the entire world watched the last 8 minutes and 46 seconds of George Floyd's life. We watched a single person with privilege make a unilateral decision whether that young man would live or whether he would die. We watched Mr. Floyd call for his mother, who had passed away 3 years earlier. That call from George Floyd was a call to the entire nation and a call to the entire world that says racism must end, and it must end now. As you view with your own eyes, this call is being answered by small towns like ours to large metropolitan cities all over the country. You are witnessing the manifestation of that movement. For example, the governor of Rhode Island is removing the words Providence Plantation from all of its official documentation. You watch the citizens of Mississippi overwhelmingly vote to remove the Confederate flag as part of that state's history, and the Mississippi governor signed it into law. You watch the National Football League apologize to Colin Kaepernick for not understanding he wasn't protesting the flag, but he was protesting police brutality. And you were watching the removal of Confederate monuments and statues from cities all over the country. As the City Council and the NAACP work together, we must jointly be willing to address the established system that has been in place for years. Briefly describing, the system is called a SUT, S-U-T, a system of speaking, understanding, and thinking. This system of speaking, understanding, and thinking has given the rising voice to the reasoning, the intent, and the purpose of those who seek to maintain superiority. Believe it or not, this system is the cancer of the country. And just like cancer, it has not yet been cured. This system is created by men with misguided practices and misguided policies that have served as President of the United States, governors, senators, representatives, mayors, city council members, policemen, judges, lawyers, and others in positions of authority to implement the misguided practices and policies. This area of the country, believe it or not, is known as part of the Bible Beltway. But you will know that we were part of the Bible Beltway by looking at some of the social media posts from those that we call our neighbors and our friends and our co-workers that we have known for years. The majority of the United States and the majority of the world has said enough is enough and has begun to answer the call. We, the members of the NAACP and community, are asking you, the City Council, to answer that call. We are wanting to work with you to reconstruct and eradicate racism, to include all of its monuments, statues, practices, policies, symbolisms from our community. As the City Council, we are asking you to partner with the NAACP to bring about the necessary change. When divisive or controversial racial issues arise within the community, we are asking you to contact the NAACP. When dialogue or minority representation is needed, we are asking you to contact the NAACP. We do not believe in having the city choose the spokesperson for us. We will speak with one voice and one single voice as a group. We will always be ready and able to engage with you to find a common solution that works for all. We want to partner with you, for example, 1, pass a city ordinance banning Confederate flags or symbols from any city, state, or public property. 2, improving poverty-stricken neighborhoods by investing dollars and jobs into neighborhood programs for members within that community. 3, reallocating funds to address the mental health needs of the most vulnerable members of our society, our children, our youth, the working poor, and the poor. We want to work with you to renaming a part of Business 60 from Highway 60 intersection to the intersection of Chamber of Commerce, Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. We are wanting to work with the city to name some of our sporting venues after some African American and minority athletes that have played in professional sports. We want to work with you to invest and promote minority cultures, businesses, programs, and entertainment. We want to work with you to revamp the educational curriculums that teach more African American and minority history and the labor movement's investment into the working families. We want to work with you to jointly celebrate Kwanzaa and Martin Luther King Day. The city of Poplar Bluff can be an example to the remainder of the country,
Sir, I
an
don't want
example
to
to
be
the
rude.
remainder of the world. Yes,
I
give me
don't want
that.
to be rude, but you're
Give me
10 minutes.
5 seconds. Just 5 seconds. We want to make that commitment to work with you, and we ask that you work with us, the NAACP, to help bring about this change. We know that we can make it happen if we roll up our sleeves and work together as equal partners. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay. And thank you all for coming. We have Mr. Chester Pumphrey.
My name is Chester Pumphrey. I hang out at 1119 Spring Street. I rise, and the pun is intended, to speak about the police killings in Minneapolis, Atlanta, and somewhere in California. No, not really. But about the kind of things that could eventually lead to those kinds of travesties. At least one of you folks, and maybe many more others of you and them, on 21 May, witnessed me babbling out that our police department was incompetent, lazy, or both. And there are 5 or 6 other adjectives that I could have used, but I didn't. People have asked me what proof I have that they're incompetent or lazy. In 36 years, I have lots of basis. I will only bore you with a few items because I need to get down to a recommended remedy. In 2008, a citizen of this town suspected that the service department of one of the new car dealerships had defrauded him and asked the police department to look into it. The desk sergeant, one Butch Mobley, now retired, stated that, quote, "It makes no difference whether you were swindled, because it would not be a crime. You must get a lawyer and bring a civil case. We will not get involved," unquote. The question here is not that the mechanics may have been dumb as dirt or whether the dealership is dishonest. The matter is that your police department does not know the difference between a criminal offense and a civil matter. That, folks, becomes a most serious thing indeed. Another instance. Secondly, a citizen recovers a sawed-off shotgun, which every intelligent person in this land knows violates federal law for many, many years, a long time ago. Calls the department and surrenders it, as well as providing the names of those 4 or 5 people who were probably in on it, maybe some fingerprints on it, and offers to give that police person every possible thing he knows about how it got in that residence. The fellow in blue, with the badge and the gun, refuses to give the citizen any kind of paper to show that he did his duty. PPP generally means proper police procedure. Well, I'll ask Ed sitting there, it follows that PPPP means piss poor police procedure. You care to know the cop's name? Try Carpenter, circa June 2007. Last report I had, he's still on the force. Thirdly, July 1998, there's this debtor and this creditor who are engaged in a pending foreclosure action and agree to meet at the site, but the debtor does not show. Instead, a rookie, or maybe not so rookie, cop arrives.
Mr. Pumphrey, I'm not going to allow you to sit here and attack our police force. Those guys have a tough job, and please don't attack the police force.
I can't hear that. I don't know who's talking.
I'm talking to you, sir.
Say it again?
We're not here to attack the Poplar Bluff Police Department or anyone else. If you have a complaint or something that you want us to listen to,
All right.
please read it, but do not continue to attack the Poplar Bluff Police Department.
All right? In the year 2000, I can't recall the name of the senator, put forth a bill, Senate Bill 1053, in our legislature, enabled, and the way I read it, recommended, that we deal with those kind of abuses, messes that I just described, and it set forth a procedure. And I don't have it on my clipboard right now because I got here a little late, but I had copies to hand around. I'll only give you the gist of it. And my suggestion, state law 590.653. Let me back up a little bit. I got my train of thought there reversed a little bit. Some of my time got stolen. But many people think that the city manager runs the town. Many people think the council runs the town. In my opinion, the various boards run the town. We have the Coliseum Board, the Airport Board, the Library Board. They actually run the town. Well, state law as of 2000 gives us, any little town, the authority to form a citizens police complaint review board to pass judgment on police misconduct of the type that those people were here to complain about. And I guess I'll cut it short. What I'm here to do is ask you to use that state law 590.653 and get us a citizens complaint review board to deal with the police misconduct and maybe prevent any of those types of killings that have been occurred around the country. And since I have 2 minutes, let me throw another one other thing. We've been running the red for 2 or 3 years. We can stop some of that. We now are about to have a vacancy. Somebody called a city planner, that is. Let's leave that position vacant. And if you folks had the interest in listening to me, to this old coot, who's got grandchildren old as some of you, certainly children old as some of you, if you would listen to this old coot, I could give you a few more examples about how we might save some money. Let's leave that, I don't want to call it, that do-nothing job of a city planner, let's leave it vacant and help out with our financial problems. And now that I've been distracted in so many ways, let me just say this. I have copies, I think I have copies over there, of that law that I just referred to. Do you know about that law?
No, sir.
State law recommends we have as a citizens police complaint review board. Let's do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pumphrey.
Many people are clapping with this gentleman here he comes on a regular basis with this, I believe in criticism, but I don't believe in the fact that you come every meeting with the same thing. You should use more wisdom in what you do.
Next, I have the PB frontliners, Abby Heiser. Please state your name and address, ma'am.
Yes, I'm Abby Heiser, 1414 Woodland Road.
Can you move that microphone?
Yeah.
I think you might be.
Oh, yeah, sure, thank you. Good evening, council. I'm going to not take up too much of your time. We're here on behalf of the PB Frontliners, which is an organization that started protesting the police brutality and the death of George Floyd, and moving forward from there, grew into a community nonprofit group with a lot of young folks that are wanting to get involved and support the mission of supporting the Black community in Poplar Bluff. And so a few weeks ago, they held a meeting with community members that were invited to attend to just kind of speak about some of the concerns that they have. I'm going to make sure to not repeat anything you've already heard, because you've heard a lot of really great words from the community already this evening about things that we also were interested in. So I'm just going to mention that we really look forward to working with the city. If you guys have any efforts moving forward where you want to include groups, please keep us in mind, the PB Frontliners. We want to help in any way that we can. And some of the things that we want to bring to your attention tonight are things that you've probably heard before, but we're just going to reiterate what the Poplar Bluff citizens communicated to us. So we'd really like to see more community get-togethers, which is not just your responsibility, but also organizations in the community. So a lot of these things I mentioned we're going to be making efforts for as well, but anything that you guys think that you could use our group for, we want to be involved in. We also want to look at bringing more cultural events to Poplar Bluff. We really want to see groups getting together that have diverse groups of ethnicities, and also that bridge the community gaps that we may have. Things like music festivals, community movies. We also want to look into ways that we can try to incorporate more African American businesses into Poplar Bluff, because there is a need for that. We also have some kind of lofty interests as far as things that we see, that resources that need to be provided to the community, and we hope that working together we can try to provide some of these services along with the city, and anything we can do to help you guys, especially for single parents. Everybody knows that drug addiction is a true challenge facing the young people and older people in our community, and that's something that we all need to work on together. We see a need for more space for the community to be able to share their voice, and maybe not just at council meetings, because we know that you guys get overrun at these meetings, but groups that can come together to define common goals and maybe understand what city resources are available to help us achieve those goals. We do see a very high need for information about voting to be shared for the Poplar Bluff community. I think that one of the scary things about our experience with COVID-19 recently, a lot of the seniors would have registered to vote at high school this spring semester, and they were not able to do that when we were shut down. And so some efforts to make sure that young people understand how that process works, and to try to get information out so that they understand about how they can vote for city council members and be involved in things like that. Some additional things that we had, of course, everybody wants to get more city officials involved in community efforts. So that includes the law enforcement, school board officials, of course, and you guys who are sitting here this evening taking the time to listen to us speak, and we appreciate that. We also would really like to see some sort of programs put together to help minorities into jobs in Poplar Bluff and also careers. And so that's one of the things that we have some folks that are interested in participating in, like seniors to work programs and things like that to help make sure that every kid who's graduating and moving into the workforce age has the opportunities that they need. And then some of the things that we would like to ask for from the city specifically, I really do like the idea we discussed about, the gentleman discussed about a police advisory board from the citizens' point of view. Things like de-escalation training and situational training. Poplar Bluff Police Department, we would like to see them being a forerunner in this situation because we haven't heard complaints about police relations in Poplar Bluff, but we would like to think that Poplar Bluff is a forward place and that we would meet that challenge head on and be able to say that we trust our police department and that they're making efforts in any way that they can. Also, just mental health facilities. We don't really know what the city council has to do with those or if there are ways to increase those resources and getting them out to who needs them. And I think that's everything. So again, we just want to make sure that you guys know that we want to be a resource as well to you guys, as well as in the future coming to you guys to ask for help with events and other things as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. I would like for everyone to know that we do appreciate your comments, and we do listen to them, and we do our best to act on them. So please continue to come see us. I would like to thank everyone that spoke, that was here tonight. Thank you again.
Mayor, I would also like to say that Chief Danny Whiteley and Bishop Ron Webb are coming together and going to have a joint Bridging the Gap service. They're planning it for the fall.
Yeah.
So there is work being done
Oh, yes.
between the police department and the black community.
And I just met with them Thursday, and they plan to meet again this Thursday. Okay, continuing on. Item 7, workshop items for discussion. A, the City Council will review a loan agreement with the Missouri Transportation Finance Corporation and the City of Poplar Bluff related to the Highway 67 I-55 project. Mr. Massingham.
Yes, if you remember back in August of last year, the citizens passed the extension of the 67 tax overwhelmingly by, I think, 80-something%. We were awarded a governor's grant and then a MoDOT grant to work on the next 4 miles of 67 South. This loan agreement with Missouri Transportation Finance Corporation, which is an arm of the MoDOT, is our match for the Phase 1, which is the first 2 miles from the intersection of 160 down 2 miles south of there. We'll also see some improvements on the interchange, which I think everybody knows that's a horrible interchange there. The loan amount is $8,781,000. This comes from the highway, payback will be from the Highway 67 tax. That money can only be used for Highway 67. Later this year, they'll be coming back with another loan agreement for Phase 2. And then the city has also applied for a federal grant called the BUILD grant through the Federal Highway Transportation for $25 million, which would be the remaining part of the Highway 67 project. So this is for Phase 1, which is a match for the governor's grant. And the interest rate, I think, was 2.09%.
Any other discussion on item A?
discussion, I'd make a motion to send this to the voting session July 20th.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item B, the city council will review qualifications for engineering services for street paving for a CDBG grant application. Mr. Winters.
If you remember last year, last spring of 2019, we had reviewed engineers and selected Mathis and Associates to do the engineering work for a CDBG to pave some gravel streets in town. That grant we ended up not submitting, so we're going to look at resubmitting that, or not resubmitting, but submitting that grant this year for some, we've been working with Jerry Lawson on picking out some streets in town that are gravel that need to be paved. And again, we have selected, we're recommending Mathis and Associates. We had 4 firms submit, and Mathis was rated the highest, I think, by 1 point. That's who we're recommending to do this engineering work for this grant application.
Any comments?
I motion this be moved to the voting session July 20th.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item C, wow, good thing we don't have to vote on that. Item C, the city manager will update the city council on current budget issues.
Mr. Attorney, could you come to the podium? I have a question for you. I know the 3 of them have left the room because we could possibly be talking about salary reductions in the budget cuts, but there's also other items in here, and we're not voting on anything. I'm just giving them ideas to look at, and I know they're going to want some time to think about this, but something is going to need to be done fairly quickly. I guess my question to you is, since we're talking about several different items here and we're not voting, can they sit in on this, or is it a conflict of interest?
That's their decision.
Okay.
Mr. Manager.
I just wanted to make sure.
We can't order them to come back into
No,
the
I
room,
understand that.
participate if they feel uncomfortable because they have family members or whatever that are employed by the city, then that would be their choice. There is no reason why they could not participate in issues that don't affect their family members.
Okay.
And sometimes it's hard to segregate those issues as we get into general discussions and ideas. So, but to answer your question, the short question is there would not be any conflict of interest for them if we were talking about things that did not relate to salaries or benefits for family members for which they have recused themselves.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Just going to go through what I have here. December of last year, I presented a budget to the council. The general fund budget had a $283,000 deficit budget. At the time, we were hoping to pass the use tax in April of 2020, and the additional income created by that use tax would have eliminated any needs for budget cuts. Of course, then the election got postponed until June, and I think the use tax failed by 50-something votes, and this leaves us with a need to cut expenditures for the next 6 months to balance the budget. We have been able to cut some expenditures in several departments, either by not filling positions or holding positions open. We've also seen some savings in our health insurance cost. If you'll remember, last year we changed the benefits for new hires. The city no longer pays for family and dependent care unless they're covered by a union contract. So we've saved a little bit of money there. I would estimate our savings the first 6 months of this year would be around $80,000. About $69,000 of that is we are receiving some COVID funds to pay for the personnel at the airport. So with that being said, we will not have to transfer that amount to the airport from the general fund. So that does save us $65,000 approximately. So what this means is we need to look at cutting approximately $200,000 out of the budget. We talked about changing the police department from a 12-hour shift to an 8-hour shift. If that's decided, those officers will actually be taking a pay cut because they do receive extra money for those extra hours. I've also been told that we would actually probably lose some police officers, that they're perhaps leave if the 12-hour shift is cut to 8 hours. I have no idea if that's true or not. But I can tell you if we do lose police officers, we will have trouble filling those positions. They're hard to fill now, and what's going on across the country, they're going to even be harder to fill. The following are several budget cuts that, I've talked to y'all before about. Personally, I don't want to do any of these, but we are going to have to do some budget cuts. The first three amounts are based on 6 months instead of 12 months because we have 6 months left in the year. If we close the pool and fitness center, we would save approximately $51,000 from a transfer from general fund. If we unfunded the art museum, we would save approximately $39,000 that we transfer from general fund. If we do change the police department from 12-hour shifts to 8-hour shifts, that's approximately $43,000. And I've also looked at across-the-board pay cut for all employees. A 1% pay cut would equal $65,000. That's on an annual basis, so for the next 6 months, if we did across-the-board pay cuts, you can figure half of the 65, so around $32,500 for that. These decisions are hard to make. I don't expect an answer tonight from you all, but you do need to start taking a hard look at this, and something really needs to happen in the next couple of weeks. We don't want to end up dipping into the reserves anymore this year. And that's really all I have right now. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them, or try to.
I know these are some tough decisions to have to make, especially when you're talking about the employee's livelihood. But something does have to be done. I do understand that. Since no action needs to be taken, can we bring our members back in? Mr. Christman? Wait just till she comes back in.
It's not non-salary.
Thank you for the update, Mark. I talked about it now. The concern that I have is not the operating or general revenue, but the capital fund budget. As I had come up with in my research, 2018 shortage of $800,000, 2019 $200,000, and this year we're short $523,000. The capital fund is going down very, very, very fast, and it seems like that ought to be addressed too.
We start out the year with almost $1 million. I mean, if the bonds are passed for the police station, then there's not going to be a deficit there.
There's not going to be a deficit this year, but the
year.
But we've had reserves each year, and it's still stayed at close to $1 million each year.
Well, it does look like that from the.
And I really don't appreciate being referred to as Kaplan tonight. That's a far cry, I would say. I hope that's the case anyway.
You have got some numbers you have got to look at.
I've looked at numbers. This is my 30th budget, Mr. Chrisman, my 30th year to do a budget.
I think you need to get some other people looking at it too. Okay, gentlemen.
And people wonder why I'm retiring. I'm going to go back to the use tax for a minute. You know, I know people don't understand it, but I read this last week in Bloomberg, and it talks about brick and mortar retail and malls across the country. It says more than half of all U.S. department stores and malls will be gone by 2021. This was one real estate research prediction. Surviving retailers may not be far behind. Starbucks is closing physical locations. Developers see future big box stores as becoming office complexes. So the more we see these stores close, the more people are going to buy on the internet and the less sales tax we're going to have for Poplar Bluff.
Good point. Good point. Buy Poplar Bluff. Thank you, sir. Item 8, action required items. AA, bill number 8243. The city council will take action on an ordinance accepting a bid for the roof replacement on Fire Station Number 1 at 300 South Broadway.
Motion for first reading of bill number 8243.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Counselor.
An ordinance accepting a bid from Minor Hagen Roofing and Sheeting of Jonesboro, Arkansas for the roofing project on the Fire Station Number 1 of the Poplar Bluff Fire Department.
Motion for second reading.
Second.
Counselor. Oh. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Counselor.
An ordinance accepting a bid from Minor Hagen Roofing and Sheeting of Jonesboro, Arkansas for the roofing project on Fire Station Number 1 of the Poplar Bluff Fire Department.
Motion for adoption.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, Clerk Young.
Councilwoman Parson?
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton?
Yes.
Councilman Cornman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis?
Yes.
Mayor Smith?
Yes. Thank you, Clerk Young. Item BB, resolution number 1928. The City Council will take action on a resolution making appointments to the Airport Advisory Board, Downtown Poplar Bluff Board, Municipal Utilities Advisory Board, Tree Advisory Board, Residential Housing Board, and the Zoning Board of Adjustments.
Motion for reading of resolution 1928.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Counselor.
A resolution of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, making appointments to the Airport Advisory Board, the Downtown Poplar Bluff Board, the Municipal Utilities Advisory Board, the Zoning Board of Adjustment, Tree Board, and Residential Housing Board.
Do we have a motion for adoption?
I make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, Clerk Young.
Councilman DeGaris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton?
Yes.
Councilman Cornman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Yes.
Councilwoman Parson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis?
Yes.
Mayor Smith?
Yes. Thank you, Clerk Young. Item CC, resolution number 1929. The city council will take action on a resolution making appointments to the Animal Control Advisory Board, Arts and Museum Board, Fair Housing Committee, Historical Preservation, Housing Authority Board, Land Clearance Board, the Redevelopment Authority Board, the Library Board, Park Board, Planning and Zoning, Disabilities Advisory, and Black River Coliseum Board of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Motion for the reading of resolution number 1929.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Counselor.
A resolution of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, making appointments to the Animal Control Advisory Board, the Arts and Museum Advisory Board, the Fair Housing Committee, the Historical Preservation Commission, the Housing Authority Board, the Library Board of Trustees, the Park Board, Planning and Zoning Commission, Disabilities Advising Board, and the Black River Coliseum Advisory Board to the City of Poplar Bluff.
Motion for adoption of resolution 1929.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, Clerk Young.
Councilwoman Horton?
Yes.
Councilman Cornman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Yes.
Councilwoman Parson?
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis?
Yes.
Mayor Smith?
Yes. Thank you, Clerk Young. Resolution number 1930. The City Council will take action on a resolution making appointments to the Plumbing Board, Electrical Wiring Board, Heating and Air Conditioning, Ventilation and Refrigeration Board, and the Building Standard Boards of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Motion for reading of resolution number 1930.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Counselor.
A resolution of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, making appointments to the Plumbing Board, the Electrical Wiring Board, Building Standards Board, and the Heating and Air Conditioning Board of the City of Poplar Bluff.
Motion for adoption.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, Clerk Young.
Councilman Cornman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Yes.
Councilwoman Parson?
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis?
Yes.
Mayor Smith?
Yes. Thank you. And we will have no need for a closed session tonight. And the chair will entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a city manager's report.
No, I just wanted to thank the council for allowing me to serve in this capacity for the last 5 years, and also the citizens of Poplar Bluff. Everybody's been really great to work with, and somebody told me today this may be kind of like graduating from high school, which I had never thought about that, but it's true because you're excited about graduating. In my case, I'm excited about retiring. But then again, you're going to miss the people you work with, and that means the council and all the employees. And I can tell all of you that we have very good city employees. They all work very hard for this community, and they all care for this community. But just wanted to say thank you to everybody.
You can always do what I did and go ahead and run for council next year.
And thank you,
Second.
thank you, Mark, for 30 years of service. If there be nothing further to discuss tonight, we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?